Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Kylie Campbell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Gauri Singh. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services Leagues of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Visitors who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit and the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Colville Frederick Armstrong. Colville Armstrong was born on the 21st of May 1897 in Yass, New South Wales. He was one of 8 children born to engineer Joseph Colville Armstrong and his wife Wilhelmina. Colville grew up in Wagga Wagga and received his education at the Christian Brothers College. He was an active member of cadets. When the First World War broke out in 1914, he was working as an assistant motor mechanic. Colville Armstrong enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 7th of August 1915. He was assigned to the reinforcement of the 4th Infantry Battalion with the rank of private and commenced a short period of training in Australia. He embarked for active service on the 30th of December 1915, sailing from Sydney on the troop ship Medic. After several weeks at sea, Private Armstrong arrived in Egypt. In April, Armstrong was transferred to the ranks of the 12th Machine Gun Company and traveled to France in June. After arriving into the French city of Marseille, Armstrong's unit was sent north towards the Franco-Belgian border. He and his comrades had been at the front for a few weeks before being drawn into a brutal fighting around Pozières and Mouquet Farm. Armstrong's unit then spent time training and undertaking routine trench duty in Belgium before returning to France just in time for the onset of a bitterly cold winter. Like many who suffered in the uncomfortable trench conditions, Armstrong became ill, contracting influenza in January 1917. He spent a week recovering behind the lines and rejoined his unit just as the Germans began making a strategic withdrawal to the Hindenburg Line. Over the weeks that followed, Armstrong and his comrades supported units of the 12th Brigade as they were drawn into several clashes with the enemy. In April 1917, Armstrong was promoted to Lance Corporal, but was taken ill for the second time shortly thereafter. He was again sent behind the lines to recover. On this occasion, did not rejoin his unit for almost a month. In mid-1917, as Allied offensive efforts switched to Flanders, Armstrong and his comrades returned to Belgium and took up positions around the Ypres salient. Over the months which followed, they were involved in a series of major attacks at Messines in June, then at Passchendaele in October. The Allied forces suffered heavy casualties in the horrendous conditions in the Flanders mud. Armstrong and his comrades withdrew to the rare areas for a period of rest and training after the carnage at Passchendaele, settling down for another cold and wet winter at the front. In early 1918, German forces launched their spring offensive and began making a series of strong attacks along the Allied front. The 12th Machine Gun Company joined other companies to form the 4th Australian Machine Gun Battalion. Afterwards, it was involved in several key battles, including the defense of Dernancourt and the attack at Hamel. From August 1918, Armstrong's unit was involved in the Allied counteroffensive, fighting in several more major attacks as they pushed the enemy back to their final lines of defense. In September 1918, Armstrong was granted 2 weeks of leave, which he spent in England. By the time he recovered and returned to the front, he was drawing to a close. He and his comrades were out of the front lines on the 11th of November when they received news of the armistice, which they celebrated in the mess hall. A band played through the streets of the town in Limège, where they were billeted, possibly caught up in the excitement of the armistice, Armstrong went absent without leave that evening and did not return to his unit until the following day. As punishment, he reverted to the rank of private. Though relieved at the war's end, those at the front were faced with another enemy as hundreds of troops began falling ill with a strain of influenza, which became known as Spanish flu. It was particularly deadly, attacking the young and causing coughing, body aches, vomiting, and hemorrhaging. In December 1918, Armstrong was sent to the 47th Casualty Clearing Station, where he was found to have contracted influenza. His condition gradually began to worsen. One of the nurses wrote to Armstrong's mother, "Everything that is possible is being done for him, but the medical officer is afraid there is very little hope of recovery. It is so sad because he is such a dear boy and so young. This is such a bad form of influenza that a number of boys are having. How sad for you to be so far away because it takes such a long time for a letter to go." The nurse had scarcely time to post this letter when she was forced to write with another news that Private Armstrong had died of influenza. He was laid to rest at the nearby Morbage Center Cemetery, where he lies today beneath the words chosen by his family. "Have mercy upon him, Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him." Private Colville Armstrong was 21 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honor on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Colville Frederick Armstrong, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
I will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man, lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.